we're starting a new series, and it's a series we've touched on before because it keeps coming. You know, there's always more to talk about, and it's clearly on people's minds.
In late stage capitalism, we're gonna really see the consequences of all that capitalism come to light perpetually. I bet in like 3 weeks we'll have even more awful stuff that's happened, and we'll just kind of be like, ow, but I'm glad I know. And that's the thesis of rich people are bad.
So we're talking about Eat the Rich, which, you know, we've done. We've covered, you know, horrors of society, which always ends up being like, you know, the rich hoard all the wealth and then it's miserable. Yeah, we're talking about the film Opus, which came out last year, 2025.
And the first time I saw it, I actually didn't hate it. I actually liked it. I was like, that was a weird ride. It's the value of a human life, celebrity, and wealth under capitalism. So, as Gabe said, while the film lacked substance, I'll try to talk about some of the things it failed to deliver upon at face value. The reason we included Opus in our Eat the Rich series is it calls out the way humans deify celebrities and also like the power and influence that corrupts like rich, famous people. Celebrity and the influence associated often goes hand in hand with wealth. Celebrities are like set a level above the average wealthy person in that the idea is that to their followers, fans, and other people who look at them, it's not just their wealth. It's arguably that they have talent. They have things they create. The fun thing with capitalism, though, is like even the people who create stuff, sometimes they're not even creating it. But if we're thinking like actors or musicians, sometimes they write their own songs. A lot of the times they have a blind like a lyricist when you write some ghostwriting. Yeah, ghostwriting their songs for them. But like their life kind of reflects what they're singing about. So you think they did it. You know what I mean? So the argument is that they have talent in something that only they could do with things that they create. And that's why they're better than just like a rich person. Because they're creating something, art, beautifulness. And I think that's why it extends past just like fame into like deification, because it's like if I remember when we were doing Passover, we talked about like how people used to think they were taken over by demons if they were writing a song. So it's like there's an integration between the creation of music and religious ideals. So it's like the deification of them does make sense in that context.
Like you were chosen by something higher than us.
Yeah. To
be this vessel of art and creativity. And so now you've transformed yourself from just a lowly human into something that is important and special.
Humans love hierarchy. And that's why.
It's our problem.
But it's often forgotten in the many instances that celebrity comes from a form of nepotism, privilege, familial wealth. With exceptions, of course, but it's fairly common to learn about a new up-and-coming face in Hollywood and find out they had a famous cousin, grandma, uncle, mother, etc. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that their parents were making films back in the day that were really popular, because we don't watch those films that much. You know what I mean? Like they had a famous relative in the 1920s and that wealth built something. So now they're into acting. A lot of the famous people we know come from a line. Not all, obviously. Social media has bridged that gap a bit. And there are exceptions. That's how you kind of keep the American dream lottery fantasy alive, is you have to let somebody through and use them as anyone can do it. A regular man can come up from the bottom, pull up their bootstraps.
The Hunger Games.
Yes, literally Hunger Games. So much fame and power under capitalism comes from structures that allow it to take place. And as I said, if anything, social media has acted as an equalizer. You have a lot of people who are just like in people's phones, and we're seeing the transition away from that with like the monetization and whatnot, but because they're like trying to control it again. But that was a little bit of a gap where you got people who weren't in there that got to come up and achieve fame through like fandom in a literal sense. Not like they started from the bottom, or they started from the bottom instead of they started from mid and were able to have an easier time climbing to the top.
Yeah.
We unpacked the fandom side of things. Obviously, we talked about Swarm. So if you want more of that, go there. But also touch briefly on how wealth corrupts our minds and capacity for empathy. But if you want more of that, I'd recommend our American Psycho episode, because we get really into how money makes us go a little bonkers, in that we forget that we're a normal person, and instead no one tells us no, so we kind of think we're able to do whatever we want. What I will be unpacking my section is real life examples of celebrities extending their power too far, who let their pride and delusion of grandeur grow without limits, because as a person they stopped being given limits, stopped respecting boundaries, and viewed themselves as superior. The issue is the hierarchy. And essentially in the American Psycho episode, we do cover the fact that a grounding presence, someone who like reminds you that you are human, that what you were before, is something that can protect you from being corrupted by wealth. But Kanye is a great example of, after his mother passed, who was his grounding person, this very rapid descent he took in the opposite direction, because wealth is inherently corrupting. But because of the nature of capitalism and how it attributes value, when someone holds more wealth and power, they're likely to be corrupted by it. And if a person is told they are worth more money, capitalism states that their life is more valuable than someone else's. And if someone chooses to believe that, then they are more likely to lose empathy for others. If we think of like the boat experiment, it's like, who do we save? The more value you have under capitalism, your net worth, is like you're more likely to be saved by other people, because they reinforce the idea that you are superior in some way because you have a lot of money. The saving grace, as I said, is a grounding person. So as long as you have that, feel free to get some money, but don't do it at the expense of other people. The film does achieve showing this issue in real time, in that, like, if Moretti's net worth and value as a person is worth more than the other levelists, their loyalty comes into some context. It's like the king effect, or like the delusion applied to kings or leaders whose lives are valued higher than their subordinates. Like, they'll die for him kind of thing. It's the same issue with the like hero mentality, and assuming just because another person has done something heroic, has acted heroically, that like they have something the average person lacks. That belief directly benefits the oppressor. So what would it truly mean under capitalism to believe all life holds value, with the power for great good and great evil, and that choice is in our hands?
Yes, yeah.
Just put it out there. I'm on a little bit of a soapbox. I appreciate you indulging me. And that is not to deny the societal struggles that force the idea that one's life matters more than another because of institutionalized racism, sexism, colorism, classism, ableism, and more. If we've learned anything on our show, it's that the isms ism, and they will continue to make being a good person like really hard. You're not incentivized to do that. And also there are so many barriers that impact our ability to get to different places. And it's not to say the ability to influence is not valuable, but it also suggests it's not teachable, which I don't think is true. Like, anyone if we destroy capitalism, anyone could be anything. And the ability to influence another person is something that can be learned with intentional effort, just like anything else. Power comes from external factors that can be earned as well, but are largely impacted by the systemic things. Inherent ability and talent exist, absolutely, but hard work is a talent too. And in fact, I've met more than one genius at something that chose the harder path for something they found joy in. Like a friend in high school who was like really good at math, and everyone was like, go do that. And he wanted to do theater, even though he wasn't as good at theater, but that like he went down that path and was infinitely happier for doing that than just doing the thing everyone was like, you're good at this, make a bunch of money, go do that, you know? Everything is a muscle that we have to work out and practice at. Beauty, like genius, is also a matter of perspective and surroundings. A recent example of this, I was watching St. Denis Medical, and there's this one surgeon who's like the best surgeon at St. Denis. And it makes him like, has a big head. He's like, I'm a big fish, I'm a great guy. And he's a big deal. But then it's not to say his performance isn't impressive and that he's not doing things that are skilled. But when he goes to a larger hospital for an interview, he quickly realizes like he'd be a normal surgeon there.
Yeah, he'd just be a part of the other.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of highly skilled surgeons at that hospital. So like he decides to stay at the hospital where he has more influence and still gets the accolades, because then he still gets to view himself as something bigger. So it's just like, it's also like what fishbowl you land in defines like what talent you are viewed as having. So all that is to say is that sometimes fame and power have so little to do with actual talent or inherent superiority, and much more to do with who they know, luck, timing, the fishbowl that you're born into, and the societal structures and systems that act as a blockade, statistically moving out of the way more for specific groups of people than others. So something freeing that I think is beneficial to learn and understand is that people getting the things you want has so little to them being actually better than you. Our structures are built unfairly. So the people who get rewarded don't always like, there's no deserving in capitalism. It's flawed. It's not a reflection of talent, ability, or value. So it's like the cult of celebrity is there's nothing real in it. So in that way, I guess like the film kind of did that. But a revolutionary thing is to believe that all life holds value and that we all have potential to be something beautiful, unique, and kind. It's just really hard to be that under capitalism, because it basically requires us to act opposite to that belief in order to survive. So the answer is not grinding more. It's dismantling the system, embracing the inevitable fall of late stage capitalism, and taking care of one another so that our inner lights can continue to keep shining. But that's my philosophical soapbox.
That's our hope.
Yeah.
Our dream.
I was just like, that's what I took away from the film, is I was just like, none of those people were doing anything that great.
No,
they wrote
not a single one.
And like the whole reason he chose her is that like she was like nothing, quote unquote, so that she was like a blank canvas to like send off. She's there.
She's a Bella Swan.
Yeah, she's there. What's the word? American Dream story, the Hunger Games. She got Hunger Games into fame, and now it's like, whoa, ew, you did this to me. Like this wasn't a choice, and that's like hella gross. But like, yeah,
and it's like, what is she supposed to like influence other people, or she's like sharing the story, but like, I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
It's not good.
It's not. But I'll talk about some real celebrities that are doing some weird things. Specifically, I'm going to talk a bit about Jared Leto and his weird cult time. And it's just like, the reason I focused on that is because it's like similar to the movie. It's like really weird what he was doing. It started out nice and it turned into like, it's kind of like if you were like, I want to go to a festival for music, and it's like, that's innocent and fun. And then the more money they get from that, it like slowly devolves into something disgusting. Because they're like, oh, I'm a deity. I'm super powerful.
Right.
And I will say they're not really doing anything anymore. It's kind of old news at this point, but the pandemic kind of ended the cult, quote unquote.
Good.
Yeah.
Another thing to be thankful for.
But something else to say is just like the list of people who, when wealthy and famous, do horrible things is so long. There's so many things they could have chosen to talk about.
Most times.
Like, yeah. Like wealth is all corrupting. Like, and a lot of people don't have someone who's going to ground them. If anything, they're just told yes, 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 yes all the time, to the point where they literally go crazy and then believe themselves to be God. So it's like, there's so many people on that list that it's upsetting. So this is like entertaining. That's why I chose talk about it instead of like being like, let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein for 30 minutes.
Or Diddy.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's kind of also, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of funny because you mentioned American Psycho, because Jared Leto's in that. And so it's just like, he's getting murdered like from the version of what he's become. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's
like the people who love American Psycho because it's like patriarchy.
Yeah.
And not because it's a critique of the patriarchy.
Right. Like he didn't read the script the way that Patrick did.
Yes.
Or not Patrick, that Christian Bale did.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he was on the opposite side of the joke. He was the one being joked about. But if you want to know about Jared Leto's cult, quote unquote. That's what he wants it to be. It's called the Echelon.
Yeah, it's literally called it that.
Which is what the 30 Seconds to Mars fans call themselves, and has been described by Jared Leto himself as a cult. And while they haven't had a Camp Mars or Mars Island post-COVID, the Echelon operated more like a megachurch than like let's go have a fun time at like Coachella experience. They essentially worshipped the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto, and it acted like a vanity project for the lead singer and the band, essentially pushing for his fans to spend a lot of money for very little reward, which felt very like Moretti, and that like, give up your life and come worship me, essentially, like, and we're just going to make music and hang out. And apparently it started very similar to what I imagine the Loveless camp is. Like, the activities that they do are very similar to what is seen in the film. It started more as like a camp for adults, like a summer camp. So in an article titled Escaping the Cult, quote unquote, of Mars by Jenica Enoch, they outlined their experience at Camp Mars. They regrettably went to this for many years. And they say, in its early years, Camp Mars started as an adults-only summer camp weekend in Malibu, California, back in 2015. It was a weekend dedicated to unplugging, getting in touch with the outdoors, meeting other people with common interests, aka the band, and doing events with the band members, not to mention each night wrapped with a concert on the campground. And Camp Mars evolved over the next 3 years, from being held in Malibu each year and like being somewhat affordable to getting even more expensive, more crowded, and less in touch with the band itself. So they continue to say that in 2019 was the real turning point. And while it was always a lot of money and kind of a band vanity show, it was in 2019 that the band shifted gears, claiming that they had heard cries from non-American fans begging for Camp Mars outside of the United States, that it went to like Mars Island, which is in Croatia. So there's the public caught wind of this during that time, because this is where it really got cult-like. And where he was quoted like being like, I'm in a cult, it's great, I love having everyone worship me. And that's where the photos of him walking on the rocks with the flock of people in white clothes following him came from. That is where the images of him sitting looking like Jesus in white linen clothing came from. And that is where people spent double to triple the amount of money to fly to Croatia and stay at a beach resort. And no, this isn't their private cult island, as a lot of articles have said. So where the Camp Mars, this is a quote from the person who went, I experienced was walking around a campground, seeing the band in trucker hats playing archery and cruising around on golf courts saying hello to people. Mars Island came across as a weird, overplanned cult gathering. So like it started like, we're going to all hang out and listen to music and bond with the band. And I mean, this person is clearly like a little biased towards it, like in that like they recognize where
they're
it went
defending
wrong.
themselves.
Yeah, but they're like, I went to this and I so take.
And there was also like similar to Moretti, like with him also shucking the oysters for the pearls, like him being like, oh, I'm just one of you. I didn't found the Loveless. I'm not at the head of the Loveless. But then at the same time, it's like they're all doing your bidding though. You think they want to kill these people? They don't matter to them. And
it's like, they say it like started as like, let's all hang out. Meeting people as an adult is hard. We're all going to go camp in the woods and unplug from our phones. And then quickly devolved into everyone get tattoos for Jared Leto on your body forever.
Like Nexium.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Nexium or like Jim Jones. He started being a, like, you know, civil rights like person and preacher, and then he was like, oh, I've done a lot of cocaine, so now you have to die, you know, like they all generally. It's not
funny. I'm sorry. It was like the way you transition the sentence.
I also, you know, made a bit, but I mean, like what I mean to say is like, and I think this is something that like people don't always understand with cults specifically, and what like why I'm always so like it's one of my like passions, to say the least, like one of my interests, right? And it's because like the cults don't ever start at the 10. Like they don't start as the
Mhm.
news that we hear about. Like they couldn't do that. Like there's no one comes in on it and it's already like
Yeah.
chaos. Like you
Mhm.
start with like really great
Normal, reasonable
intentions.
things. Yeah.
You start with wanting community. You start with wanting like a sanctuary from things in the real world that are overwhelming and hurtful. And so like for the people, like I would love an adult summer camp to go and learn archery and have fun. Like that sounds like a brilliant thing. Like I hear about book retreats all the time where people just go and they read, and I'm like, I would love to do that, you know, like
Mhm.
that's totally valid. Like NXIVM too, it's like people wanting to like better themselves. Like there's like that's so reasonable. And it's just like then you get in too deep and you have to like really admit to yourself that you let it get this far, and that's a really hard thing to do. So I think like this person being like, I saw where it started, and making that not an excuse but an explanation
Yeah.
is super valid. And like I don't think anyone should fault them for having wanted to
Mhm.
play with a band. Like
Yeah.
I
And
would have
if,
done it. I love Jared Leto like in the back time. Now
no,
he's
for sure.
very
And it's
bad
also like
actor.
thinking in the film, like how quickly they were to justify things that were clearly
Yeah.
signs, like like things that were like, no one should be doing this.
Mhm.
And like in the choice of video, as you said, like she's noticing it because like you always have your head on a swivel. But like the
Mhm.
other white people are like, what do you mean? Everything's fine. This is just, they're weird. They just do this. It's just a fun time. And it's like, it is like a kind of a commentary on the fact that like we will excuse a lot of behaviors that are problematic once they start to make that shift after we're introduced in a positive way. It's like,
Yeah.
we're
You're
here
in
to
too
eat.
deep.
Yeah, you're in too deep. So it's like you will rationalize to like save yourself mentally that like everything's okay, even when
Yeah, it
it's
becomes a
not.
reflection of yourself
Yeah.
at that point. Like you are an accessory to whatever's happening here.
Mm-hmm. And there's like also like an argument, I guess, in like there's sometimes where radical acceptance is like necessary for survival, but also times where if it's taken too far, it like keeps you in harm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the frog in the water kind of thing. You're gonna excuse away the issues until you're boiling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way of how fascism rises. But I'll continue. They go on to say that it wasn't a cult in the traditional sense, or at least not a cult to them, because they were able to leave. Like they just stopped buying the ticket. But the motivation to participate and pay a lot of money played upon similar reasons that people fall vulnerable to cults, as Gabe was saying. Like they wanted to feel connected to other people, to something. They wanted to feel important. They wanted this outlet to like meet other people. And ultimately, the band took advantage of people in a big way, even if it, you know, you could just stop paying for it, I guess, in theory.
Mm-hmm.
And the author notes that Jared Leto likely wanted it to be a real cult. Like every interaction that she witnessed of him was like, he was like, I hope that this gets worse and I can continue to take advantage of these people. And the culture of the event became very toxic because as the price increased for tickets, specifically, people would felt like they had to get their money's worth. So they would like be given crumbs and they'd be like, I need to do something big to get the band's attention, like to get
Mm-hmm.
like connected to the band. And like money was the pathway to that. Or like there's also a lot of accusations made against Jared Leto about how he's very inappropriate with young girls. So like
I believe it.
He's an issue ultimately. He, if the pandemic didn't happen, likely would have continued to escalate.
Yeah.
And it turns out he is like probably a monster, even just
I
past
believe
the
it.
like financially exploiting people. But
Yeah.
in another
I mean, he's
article,
been a celebrity forever, like his almost his whole life. So
yeah, no, literally. So in another article, they go through the pricing of the experiences. So just to give some like context to how much these people were paying, it's 30 Seconds to Mars. Jared Leto started a cult because, of course, he did, by Ray Alexandra. They essentially outline that the mindset of the echelon, and like how the band extorted them was that it was a very us versus them ideal, similarly to like Scientology. The band was known essentially to extort their fans for exorbitant amounts of money, charging, I believe it was for guests for Camp Mars, it was $999 for 2 nights. where you would bring your own tent to sit in the woods.
Just to be there.
Yeah. Or like Malibu. So like, but you get what I'm saying. Like you brought your own tent.
Still.
You paid $999 to stay there.
Right.
And the activities, as like the other author said, like was camping, rock climbing, archery, which I thought was funny. Because that was the thing in the movie. And then the concerts that they had at the end of the night were called Church of Mars, where the band would perform pretending they were Jesus. And there was a level up from that where guests would pay up to $6,499 for the VIP experience, which meant they just didn't have to sleep around other people.
It was like Fire Island, where I kind of don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Like I do, but I don't.
Yeah. And you know, it's like it's coming from people like who don't feel like they have stuff that, like they want to have the connections, you know, they want to be with the people that they care about, and unfortunately they are charging so much money for them to have access to that, and that's unfortunately a lot of the times the case with these kinds of things.
At least you get like stuff, like you get experiences, because people pay like close to that much for like a Taylor Swift concert. You know, like that's disgusting. Like people are taking out loans to see Beyonce, and like that's a problem. And that's just absolutely. One night of being a little kind of close to them and listening to the same songs, you know, versus at least you get to, you know, learn archery and make a friend. Like,
super fair. Super fair.
Like,
absolutely.
Just, you know, I'm just
absolutely. Saying. There was day passes that were $349, which is like, I get that's like a Coachella.
You just go to a concert. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, the fan experiences, like if you were going to like a meet and greet, it was like $900. Like they were one of the higher priced meet and greet people, like before even this happened. Leto has also been, as I said before, accused of behaving inappropriately with young girls in his orbit as well. So like I think he's a monster. Should not be getting any more screen time. Like he should be done.
They keep putting him in movies and they flop. And I'm like, when are you going to learn your goddamn lesson?
Yeah. It's like, stop.
We don't want to see him.
Platforming. Stop giving the platform to people who are terrible. And then the issue is that they have been doing that for years and it had been fine because no one knew, I guess. And like it was working. Like that's how people stay in power until they get caught. And then all the consequences happens. It's just like,
right.
Yeah. But, the outline of these accusations is an article titled The Cult of Leto. He has acted in everything from American Psycho to House of Gucci. Now Jared Leto stands accused of impropriety by 9 women by Elena Clavarino. So if you would like to know about that, the link will be in our bio. Ultimately, he seems like a really gross person, and hopefully Camp Bars never comes back.
It just makes me mad because I really did like 30 Seconds to Mars growing up.
Yeah,
and I also did like Jared Leto too. Like I had a crush on him since he was in like Clarissa Explained It All or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like I grew up thinking he was a cutie. I watched all of his stuff and I listened to all that music. And then like when the cult came around and started doing stupid movies, I was just like, this is icky now.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you ruin my music? Same thing.
Why do you have to ruin yourself?
Some of the like R. Kelly made you ruin my songs. Yeah. Chris Brown, that was my childhood, and I can never listen to Chris Brown again. It makes me so sad.
Yeah.
You know, I can't watch a Louis C.K. stand up. Like you ruined everything.
No, and it's so real. And it's like, it's kind of like once you hit a certain threshold of fame, like the cost is your soul.
Right.
And I guess that's what, in a way, the film kind of says that too, because like she's finally getting what she wanted, and then it's at what cost? Because now she knows that
she's spreading the word.
Yeah.
She's contributing to the problem.
Yeah. So I'm not going to list all the other examples. Like we spoke about them already. We have Diddy, we have R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, like every famous person in the spotlight during the 90s and around like our childhood. Probably for the most part are not okay and should not have had the platform that they had, and have been a problem. And thanks to the internet and people speaking up, like now that information is getting more widespread, but it's like also,
but still, like Diddy's trial was nothing. Johnny Depp is still out there doing his thing and people still love him. Like people still be doing it. Louis C.K. is getting like a whole redemption tour and he's disgusting. Like it sucks.
The consequences are short. Yeah.
Me Too movement is supposed to be so scary, and cancel culture. It's like that doesn't exist. Actually, cancel culture doesn't exist because no one is ever held accountable.
Yeah.
Like they just they take a little nap out of the public eye, and then they come back and they're like, "Oh, sorry." Like, yeah, it's stupid.
No, it absolutely is, and it's like, it's like I get people act. I guess it's like the fear of your own accountability, but people act like getting canceled is something that will actually ruin your life. But if you have enough wealth and power already, it won't. If you're like a regular person, sure. But if you already have access to the wealth and connections that celebrity and all this stuff already has, like you're gonna go take, as you said, like a little nap, or just be in the behind the scenes. Like you won't be gone, you'll just be a writer instead. Like,
or you just play like a really sad movie, and now everyone's like, "Oh, look at them act."
Yeah. So I'm not going to really talk on that because we're at time, but like there's a long list of people who are a problem. And we're going to continue to hear about more. And unfortunately, they are not being held accountable for long term, as Gabe said. So, I mean, we're at least seeing abroad consequences come for folks who are associated with Epstein. So that's positive. But America is American, and so
it's gross. Yeah, we stay American. But not to like exempt other places from doing the same stuff. Like England got a whole documentary about their nonsense.
Absolutely,
and I'm still pissed about it. I'm so infuriated. But it's like, I think like I think there's so many real world examples of like making, like if they leaned into some more of the horrors and it wasn't this like kind of pathetic, like he was, he's just an angry king who had someone, trip in his presence and he was insulted by it. Like it's the jester didn't perform properly, or didn't let him win the game. Like it's that kind of like pathetic approach to celebrity of like, look at them, they have so much power and they're gonna kill you for stupid reasons, when it could have been like real things. Like, and it's not to say that like that pettiness isn't real, it is, it just like happens differently. And like I think in those moments of him being a little bit too uncomfortable around Ariel, like that, those are the moments where I was like, oh, we could lean into this to him as this creep, because also it's a cult. Like you can't have a cult without like this man being like, who's he sleeping with? Like, they have to be sleeping with him. That's how that works. It's disgusting. Like you could do that, and like we kind of like jumped over some of the real world things he could have been pulling from, and that he probably knows more than us. And so it's like, who's he protecting? Well, because sometimes it feels to me like, it's like there's a bigger secret that you're holding, so you tell just enough for it to feel like you've revealed something. So then people think like, oh, okay, they're being truthful, they've told us a little bit. That has to be like the worst of it. And then there's really something terrible over here. It's like a magic trick of like,
give them a little bit so that they stop looking.
So I'm like, what do you actually have in there that you're not telling us? And because you can't, because you might be in danger if you tell us. Like, honestly, like he's still probably in the industry. Or like
your NDA is still in effect.
Right. Like, and who's gonna interview with him if you made a film that was actually saying something, like, and it's the proximity to it, which is why like Severance on Apple TV can't quite get there. Though it gets pretty far. I think, I want to give it credit. It does
a great show in terms of critique.
It just like kind of sucks. Like leaves a bad aftertaste because you're like, but it's on. Like, what are they telling us?
The CEO in their commercial.
The commercial, like you're the joke. He is the joke. So don't
laugh.
You can't let him be the joke. Don't laugh with him. We're laughing at him. We're laughing all of them. Anyway, so that's going to be the theme of this series where we're talking about Eat the Rich. And so let us know what you think about Opus. Are you one of the few people out there who really liked it? Let us know why. Answer some of my questions.
Or are you like, it was all right, or it was bad.
Yeah, let us know all of the
Yeah.
reviews. You're welcome to argue with us in the comments, people. Do not shy away from
People
that.
usually don't shy away.
We're
so.
just regular people too.
Mhm.
We do not have celebrity of any sort.
We have 9 to
and
5s.
so we're happy to chat with you.
We don't get paid to talk.
We don't have exclusive events.
I don't know anyone who's famous.
I feel bad asking people to donate $10 sometimes.
Yeah.
That being said, remember to like and subscribe and support us if you can, so we can do something.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. Yeah, but thank you
Promise
so much
not
for
to
listening.
Go corrupt.
Right? Yeah, help us be our
I just need enough to live. I don't need more than that. And I felt
that's what I'm
my
saying.
whole life.
It just sucks because that bar keeps moving.
Mm-hmm.
the enough to live. They just keep pushing it up. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.